Hi, so this is the second live tutorial session on Python. Okay, so in this tutorial session, we are going to talk about furthermore about Python, like its branching statements. So, branching statements means like how to use this if and else statements within the Python, and then we will be talking about strings and how to manipulate strings, how to edit strings, and all those things. Okay. So apart from that, uh, we also provide online training, help in technical assignments. We also do freelance and industrial projects based on data science, machine learning, embedded system, etc. So if you have any such requirement, then you can let us know by contacting us through our website, which is www.jcbrolabs.org, or you can also mail us at info@jcbrolabs.org. So let some students join. I think, yeah, some students join. Neha Sharma, Prashant, and Prince Sharma. Chama is also joined. So hello everyone, I should say. And let's wait for some time and let other people join as well, and then we will start. In the meantime, we will discuss about a brief of what we have done earlier. Uh, so in our earlier live session, we talked about some of the basic commands in Python, and those commands includes like print command, how to use print command in Python. Okay, so in print command, you don't have to just do anything; just it is a print bracket and whatever string you want to print on the console, you have to type it there. Apart from that, we also talk about some variables, mathematical operators, relational operators, and we also talked about different kind of data types which are available in the Python. Okay, so okay, so students have joined. Okay, now coming back without wasting much time, we will come back directly to the today's topics and the today's section. So today's, as we talked about, today we are going to discuss more about in Python, and specifically the branching statements which are available in the Python. So when we talk about branching statements, we talk about if and else statement or the conditional statement. So let's have a look from the theoretical aspects what exactly these branching statements looks like. So branching statements means, let's say, okay, go to draw, and here, yeah, the thing which we are going to talk about is branching statements. Okay. So in the branching statements, let's say when we come across the programming, so sometimes there occur certain conditions in which we have to decide, based on some condition, we have to decide what course of action we want to take. For example, just consider yourself as a program or as a computer, and if your mom asks you to buy some vegetables, then you will go to the market and then you will ask. So let's assume very specific vegetable. Your mom asks for some potatoes, so you will go to market and to the vendor you will ask first question. It is not like you will just say, okay, give me the potatoes. You will ask first thing. So that will be a question. That means you are checking the condition. So you will be asking like whether potatoes are there or not. So that is a question and condition. So if the condition is true, that means if that particular vendor has the potatoes, he will you will do certain transaction and come back to your house, right? So that exactly happens in the computer programming as well. So within the flow, we have certain condition to check. Okay, so there could be two cases. If we are checking some condition, whether that condition could also be true or that condition could also be false. Okay, so if the condition is true, we do some statements, right? And if the condition is false, so let's say statement 1, and if the condition is false, then we do different statements or we execute different statements. And after executing all these statements, we come back to our normal execution of the program. Okay, so this is how we will learn. This is where this condition is implemented in Python with the help of this if statement. Okay, if, then there is an expression and a colon, and after that expression statements are written, right? So that is how we will write a simple program for that. So in our first case, we are assuming that we only check for the condition. So if the condition is true only, then this statement will run. If the condition is false, we are not doing anything, it will come out of the. Okay, so let's type this particular code in this. So in our id, so let's come back to our id, the spider id. So within this spider id, let's take an example because it is very always an easy options to teach something with the help of a proper example. Okay, so coming back, yeah. So here we take a simple example of a even number or a not. So we will write a simple program in which we will be checking whether a number which has been entered by the user or typed by the user is a even number or not. Okay, so I hope all of you know how to identify whether a given number is an even number or not. So it is very easy. If the number is divisible by 2, then that particular number is an even number, and if it is not divisible by 2, then that particular number is an odd number. So very straightforward. Okay, so let's assume, let's say we create a variable a equals to 10, and okay, so in Python there is a modulus operator. So how can we identify whether this number is an is divisible by some other number or not? So when we say if there is a number x, it is divisible by any other number y. So if it is a fully divisible, then the remainder will be 0. So similarly in this case, we will also check, we will divide it by 2 and we'll check whether the remainder is 0 or not. So in Python there is a operator like modulus operator which give you the remainder of a number. So let's say if I type 6 modulus 2, so it will give 0 because the remainder is 0. If type modulus 3, then it will give 1. So it can be true for anyone. So this particular operator gives us the remainder. Okay, if similarly I type 7, if I type if I type 7 modulus 4, it will give the 3 because that is the remainder. Okay, okay, so now coming to our program, so we will be typing if a modulus 2 and if that is equals 0. So in Python, we each structure or each instrument, special instrument has to terminate with the colon, and then next statement there should be some tab. Okay, so in C language you must have seen like we need curly braces in order to make sure what is the scope of that particular operator. So in Python we use a tab sign, right? And this colon sign indicates uh, after that next statements has to be executed. So in order to remove the confusion, we will use these double brackets so that you can understand first this particular expression within this double bracket is being executed, and after that this colon sign we will so if this is true we will simply type so print, yeah, like entered number is an even number. Okay, and then we will come out of the come out of that statement. So we just have to remove this tab sign, and then we can write our normal program print out of the program. Okay, so it is just for the redundant message in order to show you. Okay, and so let's run it. Okay, so it says entered number is an even number. Okay, now we have not checked. Let's see if I type odd number. So let's say a is a 13, and if I run the program again, so out of the program, so that means it is not saying whether the entered number is a odd number or not, because we have not specified the case for odd numbers, right? We have not specified the case for odd numbers. So what can we do? Yeah, coming to our original theory, yes. So in the false case, we have not specified anything. Okay, so when what happens if this condition is true? That is, if this condition is true, that can be specified by this if statements. But if there is a false case, that means if the condition is false, then that can be represented with the else else keyword. So else statements, if all above conditions are false, then whatever is written in this false case, that will execute, right? So if we write these statements to within this else statement, these statements too will execute. So coming back to our program again, and we will modify the program accordingly, right? Okay, so now here, so we will type else. Okay, now remember, because this else is belongs to this if. Okay, so it should start with the same indent space from this if is where this if was starting, and else means if all the above condition are false. So in else we don't have to put any other condition, and just we will type print entered number is an odd number. So obviously it is very straightforward, because a number, if we are talking about even or odd number, so a number could be even number or a odd number only. Okay, there could not be in between. So now let's run the program again. So now it will say entered number is an odd number. Earlier it was saying entered number is a even number. So I hope you were getting the very basics. Now if you have any doubt till now, then you can let me know by commenting in this live chat. Okay. Okay, so as we have already talked about the importance of this Python, so you should be focusing more on this Python subject, because in the upcoming years this Python will be dominating several areas in the programming part. Okay, now we will incorporate several other things which we have learned from our earlier classes. So we commented this a variable. Now we will ask from the user to enter any number. Okay, so we will ask. So remember, in order to get a number from a user, there was a command, input command. But that input command converts the number into a form of a string. So we have to convert that string into an integer or float, whatever we want. That means we have to do a typecasting. Okay, so we will do. We are going to do exactly the same. So a equals to, we will type int, and then input enter any number. So let's see if it is fine. Okay, so it is showing some cross. right? It is like this int, we have to put this into the brackets. Now it's fine. So now in today's world, or now this IDs which are being developed from the several other developers who are being more intelligent, and they give you a sign whether we are doing certain error or not. Okay, so let's compile it. So it will ask for the number. From here you got the prompt like enter any number. So let's say if I type 105, it is an odd number obviously. So it will say okay, enter number is an odd number. Okay, and let's say let's run it the program. So it is always a good practice to test your program for all the possible cases. Why I'm saying so? Because once you test your program all possible cases, only then you can know if there is any bug within the program or not. Because if there is a bug, then you can rectify it as soon as possible. So let's now try for even number, and it says okay, enter number is an even number. So far so good. We are right on track, and it is working fine. So Renu Gaur also have joined us. Okay. Okay. Now coming to our next thing. Uh, what else? So it is like as I said earlier, you go to market, and your mom asks for the potatoes. You ask from the first vendor, and he says no. You come back. If he says yes, you purchase the potatoes and come back. So what else if we want to modify, because there are not only one vendors available in the market. So based on this program, whatever we have learned till now, we will ask just from one person. So what happens if we ask from another person? Let's say first vendor says no, then we go to the second vendor, and again we will ask the same question whether potatoes are there or not. If he says yes, then we'll purchase from him and come back. But if it says no, we will go to the another vendor, and we will continue checking these conditions till all the conditions are fulfilled. Okay, so that means we are talking about multiple condition checkings. So multiple conditions checkings can be think of in the following way. Let's see if on the theory, yes. So let's say we start with our condition here, and we check our first condition. So we check our first condition, condition 1, and if that condition is true, we execute these statements. So statement 1s are executed, and we come out of that, right? But if this first condition is false, then what to do? We check, go for the second condition. So we check for the second condition. So if second condition can be, there could be only one option, two options. That can also be true or false. I should use these arrow signs. So statements 2 will execute and will come out of here. Similarly, there could be a false case. So generally it could go as long as you want. And finally, as I said, there will be final case which will not be checking any condition, or right, that will be the simply the else case, because it doesn't check any condition. If all these conditions are false in between, then by default these statements will run. Statement, and we can say these statement will run, and it will come out of the entire loop, right? So this is known as the if-elif ladder. Okay, so this second condition is this second condition is checked only when this first condition is false. So if we have used this if statements here, this second condition is checked with the help of this keyword elif, and again the expression, and last condition we all know it is with the else. So there is another keyword that is elif. So elif, here we will write our conditions. or expression and the statements we want to run. Okay, so now let's see, let's try to check more conditions. Okay, and let's try to think about a program in which more conditions can be used. Okay, so for that, let's modify our program. Okay, so we didn't save this file. We have already saved it. Okay, we will create a new file and we will save it in our earlier folder. So that was in Dropbox like Python, and we'll save it with mm, test multiple conditions. Okay, so in this case we will have three numbers A, B and C, and we will try to identify out of these three numbers which one is the largest. Okay, so let's see, let's say we have three numbers, A equals to 10, B equals to 20 and C equals to 30. Okay, so first of all we'll check. So here we are checking these two conditions. So in order to check the condition, we all talked about some of the relational operators or conditional operator in our earlier class. Those we are going to use those. So we will check two conditions simultaneously. So if A is greater than B, that is one condition, and if A is greater than C, right? So if both these conditions are true, because there is an AND operator in between, so AND operator means if this condition is true and this condition is true, that means we are true means one. If we are getting one here and one here, only then the resultant of this will be one. Otherwise, the resultant of this will be zero, right? So we'll check these two conditions. If both the conditions are true, only then we'll jump to the next session. So we will type print. In this case, if A is greater than B and A is greater than C as well, so in this case we'll say A is the greatest. Simple. And we'll check another condition with elif. So again in elif we have to type condition, so we'll check for B. So if B is greater than A and B is greater than C. So remember, we have to put, because this elif is from this line only, is continuation of this first command only. Okay, so it has to be in the same indentation level, and then we'll type print. In this case, B will be the greatest. B is the, so it is not like you just have to type double inverted comma in order to print any string. You can do with the help of single quotes as well. And finally, when all the other cases are false, we'll go for with the else. And we have to type from here. Okay, it's better practice. Yeah. Print. Finally, C is the greatest. Okay. Now let's check. Okay, it is saying C is the greatest. That's true. Let's check for A is greatest or not. A is the greatest. Our program is working fine. Now let's make B greatest. B is the greatest. Or I should, yeah, this English is not proper. I should use largest. Okay, don't worry about it. Greatest, largest. I should be using largest keyword name here. Okay, now that's fine. Now let's check a special case. This could be the case if two numbers are equal. So that means if we type A equals to 50 and B equals to 50, so which one of the number do you think it will run? Okay, so let's see. Yes, you guessed right. It will print else statements. Why? Because this condition is false. A is not greater or than B. It is equals to B. Okay. So that is why this condition is false. This condition is false. Only when all the above conditions are false, then this else statement will run. So we will run it, and obviously it will print C is the greatest. So You can think of this particular condition as a bug in our program, because in this case we are not specifying any greatest number, but still the else statement is being run. Okay, so you can think of like modification of this program in order to avoid such scenario. Okay, I know you can do, people. Okay, so that is all about our branching statements with the help of, or I should say, the control statements with the help of this if and else statements. Now, as we talked about at the starting, now let's see if anyone has any doubt. Then we will move, will answer that query, and then we'll move forward. Okay, there is no doubt from the students who have joined us. So we will move forward with the strings. Okay. So strings in Python are very easy, and as we know, strings are nothing but just the collection of the character type. So in Python, we don't have a character type of variable, so even a single character will be treated as a string. So I can say the collection of these all numbers. If I write, let's say, a equals to JCBRO, so it becomes a string, and we talked a little about in our first lecture as well. So it will be like JCBRO, and each character will occupy a different location. Okay, now these are the content which I have written in these boxes. Now there is another thing that is known as the location or the index number, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the indexes. So index means the location at which any particular number is being stored. Okay, so therefore we can do different kind of manipulation with strings in Python, and we will be doing that particular thing now here. Okay, so we will start with the Python strings. Okay, now opening it, let's jump to the Python here. So in this case we will be uh, using this one. Okay. Okay, so let me adjust the size. Okay, now it's perfect. Okay, so let's say I create, let's first clear all the available variables so that we start with new variables then. So we will clear all variables. Yes, yeah, I'm clear. Okay, so let's create a variable a with some string, let's say JCBRO. So first thing I said, we can create a string with these double quotes, or we can create also string with single quotes as well. So we create another string like India. Okay, and okay, I forget single quotes and double quotes. Either you use both the double quotes, or either you use the single quotes. But it is not like you use single quote and double quotes as well. So I type India. Small. Okay, again. That's it. Yes. So we have these two strings. So if you want to print a string, you just type print A, it will print JCBR. If you type print B, it will print another string. So let's type both the things simultaneously, comma B, yeah, JCBR and India. So you can also print multiple variables simultaneously as well. Now there are several things like accessing of this part. So accessing of this part means instead of this entire string, you want to access a certain portion of it. So as I said, if this is a string JCBRO, So it starts with indexing from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so if I say a of 0, so I will get the first index j. If I type a of 0 to to simple colon, it will give us the entire string, complete JCBRO. Similarly, there are several ways we can part in between. So let's say we want to print from C to R. So we will simply type C 0, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So remember, it always, the indexing always grows from this first index to n minus 1 index. So if this is 3, it will go to 1 to 2. So only two numbers will be printed, C and B. So if we want to print up to R, so we have to type like A of 1 to 4. Okay. Now in Python there is also a operator kind like negative indexing as well. So generally these things are known as the slicing and other operators. So we can also assign to different other variables. So C equals to, let's say, A 1 to 4. So this C variable will be created with this CBR. Okay. Now there are negative indexing as well. So if I type A of -5 1, so in that case the indexing starts from the last index. So it goes from -1 to 0. So it is the JCBRO. We type B of -1, it will be the last character of that particular string, because if we type B, yes. Okay, so it is just in the console, we can type the variable and it will be displayed here. It will not be in the script. Okay, so please make sure. Okay, apart from that, yes, there are different string operators which we can use, like when we can concatenate a string together. So let's say I create a string E equals to A plus B. So we just have to type A plus B, and yeah, another string will be created with this concatenation of this A and B. Similarly, if we want to repeat any string of multiple times, we just multiply it by that number. So let's say I want to make a string which has the repetition of this JCBRO 3 times. So I will type 3 into A. So there will be another string F, okay, which will have JCBRO, JCBRO, JCBRO repeated of 3 times. Okay. Similarly, there are options available, keywords in and not in. So if we want to search any numbers within the string, then we can use this in number. So let's say if we type like uh, search any keyword, so let's say JCB in A, so it will be true because there is the JCB. Or let's say we type C, we have created this C variable again, so we'll search C in A. So it will search whether this C is available in A or not. So if it is available, it will return true. If it is not available, it will return false. So right now it is true, so true. Similarly, let's type B in A, so obviously it is a false. Now if I type B not in A, then it will become true. Okay, so in A false, then not, it becomes true. All right, so these are some of the small string operators which we can use more often, and it is very easy to do this kind of or this kind of operations, string operations in Python. Okay, now coming to other operations. Right, we will talk about how to see the numbers. Similarly, let's say if we want to go from 1 by 1, so we can write like 0 at a difference of 1 to last one. So we'll go to first only, 0 to 1 only. Okay. Okay, so last is the step size. So let's say a 0 to the end. So and is 0 1 2 3 5 6 because it goes to 6 minus 1 and at a default value of 2. So it will first 0, then B, then O. Let's see JBO. So 0, then it will jump 2 characters JCB, B will print, and then it will jump 2 character, finally O. So it is like this first index shows from where to start, second number shows up to which number we want to go, and the third number shows at what jump size or at what steps we want to jump out. Okay, so this can be used. Let's say there's a different trick as well. If we want to print this entire string opposite size, let's say a string a oppositely. Okay, so first thing is we can simply print like colon colon minus 1. So it is starting from the end to the first one. So this entire string will become the opposite, right? Similarly, we can use different operators as well, like 1 2 minus 2. Okay, so you can think of it how it is printing. So it is from first index, first is C, and up to minus 2 minus 1, so it is up to D. Okay, it is a printed like this. So these are the different operations which we can perform on the strings. Similarly, there are different operators like escape, new line characters. All those are also available within the string as well. So let's say type to write, if we can write it like E equals to Sachin and JCBRO. If we type E, so it is like E, but the representation, if we print E, it will be in 2 rows, Sachin and JCBRO. As I said, it just represent whatever is available in it. But if I type print A, this will be the 2 rows. The same can be visualized here from this variable. If you double click on it, this variable will open up. Okay. Similarly, there are other one, alert, backspace, and all those small escape characters can also be used within this Python as well. Okay. Now coming to another thing. So there are several methods which are available within the Python. That is like capitalize is one of the things. So it automatically capitalize all the characters in return in capitalized form. So let's say if I type b dot capitalize and simple, it will make first one, and capitalize means the uppercase. Yeah, b dot upper. It will convert all the characters into uppercase. If we make it lower, b dot lower, so a dot lower, it will return in the lowercase. So it doesn't convert into the same variable, it just returns it. Okay, so if you pass it to the another variable, then that new variable will be according to this. Okay, so now we have this f as JCBRO, all the capital words. So let's see if we can capitalize. So f dot capitalize. So now if we see G, so you will find first character has been capital and all other has become small. It is like a sentence case. Now if we want to find a string within the string, then there is a search like find. Now there is a count. So if I say G dot count, okay, I think count cannot be used here. Count G. Okay, G is a string, and I don't know why it is throwing an error. Okay, count occurrence of a string within the string. Yeah, the explanation is wrong. So let's say G dot count, and if we want to see how many times this JCBR is coming up in that, it will give us that. So JCBRO, because it is in small, is coming for 2 times only within this G, so that is why it returns 2, right? Okay, so yeah, there is a length variable. It simply gives the total number of characters or total number length of the string. Okay, this length command. Okay, so these are some of the basic commands which can be used in string. So as you have seen, the using the string within this Python is much more easier. Okay, so with that we will stop our today's online session, and I hope you must have learned something from this online session. And if you have any doubt or any comment, then you can let us know by commenting below this video. Okay, and this video will be available after this online session as well, so you can visit us there. So finally, we also provide online training, help in technical assignments. We also do freelance project based on data science, Python, machine learning, etc. So if you have any such query, you can contact us through our website, which is www.jcbrolabs.org, or you can also mail us at info@jcbrolabs.org. So we will come up with a next video with some new topics and new applications. So till then, bye and take care. So let's end this.